suspension move as Mansell gets high up on those curves.
These cars have very tough suspensions, as witnessed Nigel Mansell striking the wall at 220 miles an hour at Indianapolis and being able to finish.
Now you can watch that suspension as we go through those particular turns. The more it moves up and down, the rougher the track is right there.
Let's continue this view of the start. This time we can take a look at it from Nigel Mansell's point of view. And here comes, as Fittipaldi has dropped into the pits off of the lead. He makes his stop and go. That gives the lead of the race over. There goes Fittipaldi out, and that, of course, gives the lead of the race over to Paul Tracy. So as we suggested, the officials did decide the black flag should be displayed to this driver, and he comes out just ahead of Montermini.
Boy, and is he mixing it up back there? Look at little Al getting up alongside.
Al Unser Jr. uses the opportunity to get past, so Al Unser Jr. comes forward and into 7th place, and now challenges on Fittipaldi.
Just so that people know, when Emmo came back out on the racetrack right there, the number 4 car, the turbocharger's already cooled off when he made a stop-and-go penalty, so he doesn't have it really lit, and heat is what makes the turbocharger work. So when he first hit the track, he was lacking in horsepower just a little bit.
He also had spun his wheels all the way down the pit lane, and he might have had an imbalance in the handling as a result of that.
Now that they've assessed the penalty, we'll look at this start again from Nigel Mansell's point of view. We're on lap 13. You're looking backwards from Nigel Mansell. That's Paul Tracy just behind him.
The point is, a precedent has been set. You men have been talking about that, and it's quite extraordinary what we've seen here. The penalizing of Emerson Fittipaldi.
Here it is from a camera looking straight on to the line. The argument, of course, would be that Emerson Fittipaldi crossed the line ahead of Nigel Mansell. But I've got the kart rule book right here. And the race car is saying, as the starting signal is given, the timing of the race shall commence the instant the front wheels of the pole car reach the starting line. If the pole car does not reach the starting line, the timing of the race shall commence the instant the front wheels of the next race car. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, Billy Camphausen, who makes many of these calls in conjunction with Wally Dallenbach, what was the official ruling on the stop and go?
Jack, the officials were concerned about the jump that possibly took place on the 4 car. They reviewed that with timing and scoring, and the stewards got together and made a decision, which was to bring the car in on a stop and go.
How does one answer what Rick Mears and Roger Penske were arguing, the fact that nothing was described in the drivers' meeting?
I cannot answer that. That's not my position to answer.
Paul?
So the complexion of the race changes, much like Indianapolis, with an official call. And Paul Tracy is now in front of the race ahead of Nigel Mansell. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Detroit, Paul Tracy is now the leader, followed by Nigel Mansell and Stefan Johansson. That all comes, of course, as a result of the black flag displayed to Emerson Fittipaldi, calling him into the pits. He answers the black flag with a stop-and-go penalty, and that is all by a perception of the officials that there was an apparent violation of some rule as they crossed the line. Well, we're looking at the rule book at paragraph 6.6.3, which is the one that appears to address starts. We certainly can't find it. And that seems to be exactly the position that the Penske team is taking at this point, though they dutifully did answer the flag.
Paul, remember one thing, too, that when the starter throws the green flag, it makes no difference where the car is. That is the official start of the race. Now, it may not be timing and scoring, but let's watch it once. We're going to run it one more time. Now, watch the cars. Watch the flag one on the right there. Now, he threw the flag there. There was less than 1 car length difference when he threw the flag. Forget about when it crosses the line. If the car on the right, for example, had quit, that race would have still officially been started. It would have just gone yellow right then.
Well, in the paragraph I read...
Look at the green flag.
It's well out a good car length ahead, and the paragraph refers to the timing of the start of the race beginning at that line. It says nothing about the interval, nor does it mandate that the pole car necessarily has to cross it first.
Roger Penske will be protesting this one for a long time, is my opinion.
So the race affected by a decision of the officials. We'll see, though, if Emerson Fittipaldi can fight his way back up. He currently rides in 6th place. He has been in a battle for several laps with this man, Al Unser Jr. And he got past little Al. But Little Al is not having a whole lot of it. Robbie Gordon now sits just ahead of Fittipaldi, and Rahal just ahead of Gordon.
Fittipaldi is doing a good job containing what must be a high degree of anger in the cockpit. He's made no mistakes since he came back out on the track. He didn't immediately try to scythe his way through the cars that got ahead of him. He's kept his head. He's very cool.
Let's go to the Penske pits once again. Further update. Here's Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, we were going to talk to Roger Penske about this whole situation. He said, no, please talk to Rick. Rick, your version, the team version about this stop and go and that alleged jump on the start.
Well, I just don't agree with it. I don't believe in it. I've never heard of that before. I've never heard it announced or anything else, and they ought to explain it. If there's a rule that you're going to be penalized for a car and a half ahead of the other car, if somebody got a nose on me, I'd just let off and get him penalized every time. That rule does not work, and it's something I've never heard of. It shouldn't be done.
Well, Paul, add to this, remember what I told you at the top of the show, that Nigel Mansell was huddled with Wally Dallenbach after the drivers' meeting, continuing to plead his case about these starts that he wasn't used to. Maybe it planted a seed in Wally's mind.
Boy, isn't that a racer's thinking, though? As the mirror says, this was just moments ago. As two cars coming together here, and that is Brayton gets together with Scott Pruitt. They touch one another. Both of them look like they leave none the worse for wear. Brayton and Pruitt tapping. They were running at the time in about 16th and 17th position. Back on board with Bobby Rahal, 4th place.
Well, that camera is just one. That camera is the only. That camera is the only camera.
Pruitt's got some problems with it now as he begins to slow down and come into his pit area. And there's the 19 car, Robbie Buell, with a problem.
Right into the tires. Look how nice those tires work when the guys get into them. There won't be an awful lot of damage with that car. Obviously, you can see the slide marks, the rubber marks going in. Had his front brakes locked up. Probably got into the turn too fast. Went right into the tires. Really helps a bunch.
Mark Smith in the pits of well. Robbie Buell, of course, from nearby Grosse Pointe, just outside of Detroit here. Mark Smith, the rookie. They were hoping for so much from him. And he has climbed out of that car. His day is done. So just in the last few seconds, you can see Mark, by the way, standing at the back of the car with his helmet perched on the wheel.
Well, they got it up in the air. I don't know what's wrong with that one. We didn't see that.
So several cars suddenly with a problem. Buell, Pruitt, and Mark Smith all within the same lap. 19 laps are complete. You now ride with Danny Sullivan. And watch how much driving he does.
Yeah, and watch how rough the track is at certain points as it makes the transition from asphalt to concrete. You see the concrete here and then back to asphalt. The cars, which have very little suspension travel, they're stiffly sprung, about an inch of suspension travel at the front, a couple of inches at the back. They really transmit the bumps of the track up into the driver. Now
to add to Emerson Fittipaldi's woes, car number 4, the report is that he may have brushed the wall, and they're going to bring him in and take a look at it. So Fittipaldi, who's already been in once to answer a stop and go, now they're going to bring him in and just take a look at the race car.
Little Al sees a weakness there. He's working hard on Emble. Now, he wouldn't know that Emble's going to come in there, or that he isn't going to come in. Yellow out there right now in a certain area, but Little Al just sees a weakness, so he's working hard to get by Emble.
That, of course, is what you call a local yellow only, but you cannot pass in the area where a yellow flag is waving. Then once you're past the incident, you can come back up to speed.
It just may not be Emerson's weekend. He lost control of the car yesterday during a qualifying run. Just before he came up to speed, he put the throttle down hard and oversteered out into one of the walls and damaged the suspension yesterday afternoon. Now this trouble again.
Jack Arute, you have more on the Fittipaldi story?
Well, Paul, Chuck Sprague and Rick Ronneman had reconsidered the fact as to whether to bring MO in or not. They decided now there's the full course yellow. That's what they needed. They were going to leave him out unless it went full course.
Well, we've gone full course yellow here. And as a result of this, almost all of the crews will be prepared for a pit stop because it comes right at the 20th lap, and that's well within the window.
We can watch everybody right across the mud is getting ready for the cars in. Almost every car will do it.
So on Belle Isle, it is Paul Tracy in front, and a full course yellow is out. Back at Belle Isle, Detroit, the leader Paul Tracy is into the Penske pits for tires and service. As the crew falls on that car, you look from high overhead. And just that quickly, the car back into the fight. This stop coming on the 21st lap with the full course yellow for several incidents on the track. Bobby Rahal is in. There's Nigel Mansell in the pits. So all of the cars, for the most part, taking an opportunity. Look at Mansell roar away. Is that great?
You can see Mansell believe we'll take a lot more time on there, though, than you did Paul Tracy, Paul.
Let's go to Jack Arute.
Emerson Fittipaldi continuing to have problems befall him. When he came in, he almost overshot his pit, and now he has stalled the car. They're going to have to go to work to restart it. Things are not going well for Team Penske in terms of Emerson Fittipaldi.
And Mario Andretti makes the tight turn down at nearly the last pit, just before the pit exit as he comes in for his stop. Let's go to Gary Gerould.
Watch with the crew as Mario comes off the jacks. He lights up the tires and is out of here. His teammate Mansell ahead of him coming in made a slight wing change trying to alter the handling characteristics of the car, Paul.
At the moment, everyone except Scott Brayton has made a stop. And this was Mario's approach into the pits. Take a look at that swing that he took as he came in. And when he comes out of the pits, he also has to make a very sharp right turn to rejoin the race course.
The Newman-Haas team pitted at one end of the pits. The Penske team, their rivals, chief rivals, pitted at just the other end.
It's always interesting, Sam, on why these guys pick out total end of the pit. Two of the most competitive teams here, but they have their reasons for it. And sometimes we may disagree with them, but they definitely think they're each right.
We mentioned the local yellow rule. This, of course, is the full course yellow rule that's in effect. That's when the officials decide you put a yellow flag out at every corner station and send out Johnny Rutherford in the PPG pace car. The Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company has dispatched the Goodyear Blimp Spirit to provide the aerial views of the Detroit Grand Prix today. It floats so lazily in the sky right here on the border between the United States and Canada, the Detroit River that separates Detroit and Windsor. So now, under the yellow, Nigel Mansell for the moment has assumed the lead, followed by Stefan Johansson.
I'm Jack Nicklaus. Join me at Baltusrol for a special preview of the course and the field at this year's U.S. Open. Next on ABC Sports.
Back in Detroit, tonight here on ABC, Bob Saget hosts America's Funniest Home Videos at 8 o'clock, 7 Central. That's followed by America's Funniest People, and then Meredith Baxter stars as a woman having an extramarital affair in Burning Bridges, a Sunday night movie tonight here on ABC. There has been some action leading into this yellow. As the yellow came out and everybody headed for the pits, one of them, of course, was Mario Andretti. Now watch as Al Unser Jr. comes out of his pit. Mario locks the brakes up, misses little Al, and makes it into his pit anyway. Nice piece of driving there. And then Emerson Fittipaldi was coming into his pit. It's the very first one, but one of the tires was in the way. It added some time to the stop because they had to pull it out of the way before he could actually come into position. Now let's go to Gary Gerould.
Paul, Goodyear has this year a softer compound for tires at this circuit than they had last year, their first time here. We saw evidence of wear and some concern as Mario Andretti made the stop. Kenny Szymanski is the tire expert for the Newman-Haas team. Is this normal wear and tear? Is this a blister? What did we see?
Yeah, we just got a normal blister situation here, Gary. The tire's a little softer, as you said. Of course, it's a lot